Hello all. This is the chat about everything. This is just three blokes, one nihilist, one spiritual, one Christian, talking about things that are relevant in the world. And today we are discussing whether we still have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So with that speech, let's kick it off. What we've got to say. We've got to be careful today, haven't we, for violations on the platforms that we're posting this on. But that might actually say quite a lot from the top because if we have to be careful about what we say because of violations, then that already suggests that maybe we haven't got freedom of speech. I don't
We
know.
might just have to open up an account um, on a different platform. Perhaps we'll go and do it on Trump's platform or something like that. It's true.
Rumble or Kick, they're the two most free ones, it seems.
Yeah, Rumble. Yeah, Rumble's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble. Yeah, that's
So, where do you stand with this, Henry?
Well, I think the answer's clearly no. Well, I don't know about other countries, but in this country, if you say certain words, you're going to jail. If you write certain things to your friends in private messages now as well, the government will pick up on it, and you're getting someone come to your door, and it's as simple as that. And I think
Privacy.
it was 12,000 people arrested for Facebook posts last year. Some of them are pretty savage. Some of them are saying horrendous things. Some of them are just like really not they're probably things that people say in their friendly group chat quite often. That's the worrying thing. And like free speech has to exist in a democracy, in my opinion. So the fact that that line's been crossed, and especially with AI now and things, like that's just going to become even easier to control. It's going to pick up on things like this. If this is really the route they're going to take us down, where they're censoring our speech on this level, then it's a scary world we're living in. It really is. Like I said, I think it was 12,000 people in the UK arrested for Facebook posts last year.
In the
So,
UK, yeah.
yeah, scary, scary times.
Yeah.
12,000 arrested.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, not charged.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. I actually saw that on Piers Morgan's show. There was a woman that had called someone the F word,
Yeah.
not fuck, the other one. Yeah, and yeah, so that is enough to get into trouble these days, which, is funny to me because we have dinner sometimes, and mash, like so can you go out order some hard F's and mash, but you can't
What is it? What is? Don't say it. Just spell it.
Yeah, I'm confused what the
Am I,
word
am I
is.
gonna go to jail if I spell it?
No, can you spell it out? What?
It's a word derogatory to gay people. It starts with
Oh,
an
it's
S.
Yeah,
FHE.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Right.
yeah, which to me,
Rhymes with
that
maggot.
word isn't even used in my head to describe gay people. Like that's used to describe like your little brother when he's being a
It's,
sausage. You know what I mean? Like, not,
it's a
it's
food.
never meant
A
in that
faggot.
way,
A
but
faggot's a food.
exactly. This is what's so stupid about it. Like context does matter, but the fact that you can say it in one sense and everyone will go, oh, no problem. And then if you say it in another sense,
Yeah.
people will have this whole fake outrage. You said the word. Like it's just nonsense, bruv. No one actually cares. And
But
this world that we're in now, where you can say a word and like have this effect on people, like we should just be higher than that. That like a word doesn't cause outrage in someone the way it does, and it's never real either. You see this like fake outrage in people because they've been told that this is bad. You can't say this. So you literally see the like, and it's not real. They don't really care. Like it's just this fake outrage bullshit. And
Whoa, hang on a second. Can I call you out on that? Because
sure,
like there you are sort of like saying how people are feeling, and it's kind of like how do you know that what causes offense to some people? And I think that's the problem, and that's what we're trying to police, which in my
all right.
I do
I'll tell you
agree
why.
that
I'll tell you why. When they're a child, does that offend them? Before they're taught to be offended by it, does that offend them?
no. Well,
um,
it goes back to the old. When we were growing up, my parents used to say, "Sticks and stones will break your bones, but words would never hurt." And you get on with it.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to do. But it's
hang on a second. I can recall a time when, you knocked out one of my best friend's teeth when we were at primary school, John, because we called you. I don't can't remember the words we used, but it was something along the lines of "you northern
But
whatever."
yeah, why don't
Right,
you?
so yeah, I think you were offended. You
Uh,
definitely were offended.
yeah, but we had a fight. I beat him up, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, okay, but you said, "Can children be offended?" Yes.
Yeah,
Well, okay, I think there's a difference between this fake outrage. Oh, have I just lost you? Sorry, guys.
No, we're still here, mate.
Um, I think there's a difference between things, you can get under people's skin, of course. Like if in school, if you say something about someone's mom, it's going to annoy them, right? Like,
Hmm.
right or wrong, there's certain things you can say that are going to piss people off. But then there's also a collection of things that have really been pushed upon us. Like, you're supposed to be offended by this. Like, you're not supposed to talk about Jews in this way. You're not supposed to talk about gay people in this way. And that's just it. Like, that's what we've been told. Like, a lot of people, they don't genuinely feel strongly about these things, but they're taking part in the whole, okay, all right, this is the thing that people
yeah.
don't talk about. And if you touch on that, we're going to get real upset.
Well,
Like,
the obvious one is pronouns, isn't it? Really,
yeah, totally, totally.
and I just can't get on with that at all. You know,
But I wonder why people are offended by that, by the use of pronouns, because you're
because they
saying,
can,
well,
be.
you should be, hang on, let me talk. I've got the conch, all right? I've got the
Right.
conch. Um, like, why would people be offended by that? You know, if somebody wants to be called this and that, or be referred to as his or her, or they or them, you know, what difference does that make to you as a person? It's a bit like the same argument as, well, if you call someone a maggot with an
Nice.
F, is could be offensive to some people, and they would rather not be called that. That's okay, isn't it?
Well, it's okay to be offended, but you can't tell somebody what they can and can't say.
Yeah, I get it's okay to be offended, and I also get that you can't manage what people will be offended by and what they're not offended by, because we're
Right.
all, you know,
Yeah.
brought up in a very different way. And our parents try and instill in us some sense of, well, that's not kind or that's not nice. Perhaps you shouldn't say that, but it
Politely.
doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, be polite, but it doesn't really work, does it?
Uh,
Because everybody lives in their own different family cultures and
yeah.
national cultures and and racial cultures and all of that sort of stuff.
yeah.
So
And it's not your job to worry about everyone's feelings. Like you say, everyone's got their thing that really offends them. If you were to make a joke about cancer or AIDS or something to a certain person, like everyone's got their thing that is really bad. Like for some people, autism, that's unacceptable. You can't talk about that. Whatever it is, everyone's got their thing. And if your job was to worry about everyone's feelings, that's a long life. Like you're never going to please everyone. And your job isn't to worry about that. It's to be loving and kind. And yeah, okay, certain things you can avoid by just, not going there. But it's really not your job to do that. It's your
I,
job to speak the truth.
I
And
think
like,
there are exceptions there, Henry. I think that if you're dealing with handicapped people
mhm.
or children, I think you
mhm.
have to be careful about
I
what you.
mean, I mean, who even uses the term handicapped anymore? I think actually in the
That might be
States there might
offensive
be.
in the
Yeah,
in the rule book.
Yeah,
yeah.
but exactly what happened to me. I'll give you an example. I was at the gym and I was talking. I was referring to somebody by color, and I called them colored, and they said you can't say that anymore. I said, "What are you talking about?" I grew up. We used to call people coloured. If you weren't like a pale like me, and you and us, then you call them either half caste or coloured or whatever, blacks. It was never seen as a derogatory term to call somebody coloured.
Well, hang on a
This is the
second.
exact problem with the whole rule book thing, right? Because it's like it changes over time. Like it's not grounded in anything. It's nonsense.
And
Well,
I
This
no,
is the
thought
exact problem.
they said to me, "You can't say that." I said, "Since when?" Oh, about 10 years. They've stopped saying that 10 years ago. I was,
Since the other people decided, like,
well,
what?
well, the
Like,
other people. I mean, come on, fellas, let's be truthful here. We're three Caucasians talking about this. Like,
Well,
so,
who decides when to, what annoys me?
and if they want to be, and I say they, because we're already using, terminology of separateness and separation,
Or
but
if
if
you want to be called.
if they want to be called they, whoever they are, black and not coloured, then that should be
Why?
respected. And that's why
Why?
I'm why? Because then you're showing people acceptance and understanding and respect.
But no, they're not. They're a massive group, right? Like white people don't come
Mm.
together and say, "Oh, we want to be called Caucasians now. We want to be called white people now." We like, and black people
No.
aren't doing that either. Like this is just something that happens, and
Um,
a big, large number of them are going to have an issue if you say colored. A big, large number are going to have issue if you say whatever else. Like, and
Yeah.
it's never. There's nothing solid there. This is the exact problem. Like, it's
Mm.
ever changing.
and,
Mm.
It's
and the
not real.
and the
It's made
problem
up by
also
us.
is that blacks talk to blacks and they use the N word. If I was to use the N word, they would look down on me, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is double standards here. How is it that you can call each other the N word and when I use it, it's not right? I mean, it's so complicated. Words now. I mean, whether you use it doesn't matter. I'll tell you another one. Asians refer to us as the West, the white people in the West, as Gora. Now, you look it up on the in the dictionary. There's two examples of that. One is and one it's used as a derogatory term. Now, you don't hear anybody in this country saying, you know, you can't go around saying Gora, but they do. The Asian communities, all of them call us Goras. How is it?
Not all of them. I mean, it's when we
Oh,
start using terminologies of separation that we get into problems here. Because I'm from a blended Asian family, but they certainly use terms that I wouldn't use myself, but I have heard other people and white people using, such as, they're from Pakistan,
yeah,
and they might use terms that rhyme with tacky.
yeah,
And certainly when I grew up, I would refer to perhaps the local Asian shop as a,
the local tacky.
tacky shop, yeah, or whatever. And I'll tell you something that happened on Saturday night in the local pub. I do live in a very kind of like rural,
Wow.
majority white village. And in the pub, I was sat talking to, I won't name them, I won't, but he's like in his 80s. Great guy, makes me laugh all the time. He'd just come back from the pool table. I said, "Did you win?" He said, "No, I came second." And anyway, I was like, "Oh, great, second, well done." Anyway, he sat down. We were chatting. I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about immigration, because it's obviously a hot topic of conversation along all communities. He used the term, what do I rhyme this with? Um, well, when we grew up in 70s and 80s, Robinson, the jam jars,
Yeah,
had a figure that was a gollywog
yeah.
that was part of their branding and sold their wares. I
Mm.
actually collected a couple of the statues. I think they're very collectible now, but they were gollywogs playing instruments. And if you don't know, do you know what a gollywog is, Henry? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he called them collectively immigrants. That three-letter word beginning with W and ending in G
Oh, yeah,
in conversation with me, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like even it's kind of offensive to me,
yeah.
and I'm not black. I'm not an immigrant, although actually I'm
Why?
a descendant of immigrant.
Why did you find it offensive?
Well, because it's kind of like, should we be using terminology like that, especially in a public place where like people learn from each other and and take on things as accepted. And I think that's what policing words are about. And
What,
this,
what about things like gammon?
Mhm.
You know, I suspect.
My Gavins.
I'm thinking we could quite easily be offended by that. So there's a lot of people out there that still use that term.
But it would be fake outrage. Do you give a shit, really? Like,
Well, you said that earlier, Henry, and I wanted to pick you up on that at the time as well. It's like fake outrage. How do you know when somebody is truly offended or when they're trying to be, fake outrage? I don't know what you mean by that.
well, sometimes you can really, really tell. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes people really just don't give a shit and they're taking part in it, like because it's just something to take part in. I don't know. I think it's weird, but there's a lot of people taking part in the fake outrage, and if you're not like, do you not see that as well? You think I'm talking shit?
No, I do. I'm with you 100%. I think that if we could go anything, I mean, some women, for example, if they're cat whistled at, they enjoy the attention and it's a compliment. Other women, if you cat whistle them, they're like, what do you think you're doing? You can't do that. That's not now. I'm thinking
Yeah,
it's all a load of BS. Personally, I
yeah,
can't. I think that it's gone far too far, and I think that we should have the freedom to say what we want, when we want, to whom we want, as
100%.
long as it's not inciting um, violence
Facts.
or death,
Yeah.
right? I think that I should be able to use the N word. If other people use it, why am I not? Why am I? I don't think there can't be rules for some and other rules for others. I don't.
Yeah, do you know
Okay.
what? I do sort of agree with that. And if you go up to a black person and you say the N word to them and you get punched in the face, I've got no problem with that as well. But the fact that you can't go around and say it, I just think free speech is free speech. And like you said, there's a line when you're inciting violence, you're threatening people, that's a different thing. But
Yeah,
anything else, if you're regulating words, you haven't got free speech. And I think it's not about not being able to like be offensive to people. It's not about that. Like we're not pushing for that. It's just the slippery slope that when you start censoring things, it doesn't end at just calling people like black people the N word or something stupid like that that really is not like the reason that we want free speech. Obviously, like I'm not
no,
saying that's not an issue, but it's not massively relevant. Like it's the sort of thing that comes up. You know what I mean?
it is, and I mean it's an obvious one. I mean I mean when we had those riots, and there was that lady that was posted something on Twitter. That was an incitement to kill, really, and that was fair enough.
What were the words that were used?
Well, I can't really repeat that on here because otherwise it'd be. Um,
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
I'm
Well,
not
this is
she
is
what
pointing
she
to
used
a
was an incitement to kill, okay, by fire. And I was like, well, you can't do
okay.
that. You can't.
Yeah, okay, I get it. So she was calling for something to be burnt down or something like
Yeah.
that.
And I
Yeah.
was just thinking, no, you can't do that. And
Now,
I,
here's
I can get really annoyed, for example. I get really, really tense. And I would like to say, can someone like take this person out, please, or something like that. And then I have to control myself. I'm like, well, you can't do that, really. It's all you can say it down the pub amongst your mates, and you know that you don't really want murder, but it's an expression of how much you detest that person and you don't want to see them anymore,
Yeah,
the fact if it comes down to it, if someone said, "All right, well, I'll do it for you. You want me to do it?" You'd probably say, "No, no, no. Listen, I'm really hate the person, and I don't want to ever see them." But there's no reason for that to happen, really. It's just a way of expressing the ultimate hatred. Yeah. So
Mm.
I
So
think
that's the problem, though, I think, though, John, because for me, if I put this out there for other people that might disagree, because I think my opinions are slightly different to you guys, um, I agree we shouldn't really police what people say because otherwise you drive it underground and into a place where you can't see it. and you can't like openly have the conversations like, do you really mean that? You know, do you mean them ill, or are you just expressing, your frustration?
Yeah.
Do you think that's
Stuff
where
like
we
that.
are?
Well, I think, hang on, I think what happens is if we are able to say whatever we like in public, then you're kind of contributing to like putting the conditions of different groups together, because you're kind of saying us and them, and you're putting the conditions for that out there. For instance, why women might find derogatory terms bad, or a cat wolf whistle, or people, and I'm going to say people of color because I don't just mean black people. People of color might find certain things offensive, is because for hundreds and thousands of years, there have been people who use words and their language to kind of put them down or make them lesser of something. And mostly it's been white male privilege that has done that.
No, no, no. It's the whole flipping Palestine and Israel. They refer to anybody that's a Muslim will refer to us as an infidel.
I just think it's all so irrelevant. Like,
I
who
Well,
know.
it's
really
it's it's
cares? Like,
relevant because what I'm saying is, like this is how separation starts, and whoever's in power and whoever holds the most power gets to choose, like, where the hierarchy is, and you can do that through your language. Like this guy down the pub was saying, all of that lot coming in here, they are a group of, and I'm not going to say the word, but
but why shouldn't he be allowed to say that if he wants to? I don't like want him saying that. I don't like him saying that, and even I would probably like cringe a little bit and like, oh, there's no need to say that, mate. But
Yeah.
at the same time, why can't he? Even like, and he's probably not someone that hates these people. He might really dislike the fact that they're coming to our country or whatever it is. I don't know him, but even if his stance is, I fucking hate them and I want them gone. Like, why can't he have that stance?
yeah,
Like,
he
you
did.
know,
He
he did.
did.
Okay, fair enough. Like, and I'm not saying I agree with that, but like, I think he should be able to have that stance just because I know there's stances that I probably believe in that you would say, no, that's dead wrong. And this is the problem. Like, if we start censoring in any way, free speech is lost, and then the conversation is gone, and then we're in tyranny before we know it. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's this part. It's like this funnel. As soon as you try and cut the top off, it's like you're restricting everything, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's one or the other for me. And I definitely want free speech.
And then you've got the police. They're going around because going around people's houses because someone's rang up because they've been offended by what somebody said. I mean, is that a really good use of the police time?
Absolutely not.
What a complete load of rubbish that is.
Yeah,
You should be able to express yourself and use whatever words you want, providing you're not inciting murder.
totally.
You know,
Yeah,
you might
Yeah.
just, but I mean, gammon, for example, if you'd said gammon 20 years ago, everyone would say, lovely piece of meat. It don't mean that now. It don't mean that now. So, I mean, who decides? Who decide? Is it when the minority say, oh, I'm offended by that? Because I'm sure that, there's a lot of people in this country that are offended by other things. I mean, we've had this country has changed so quickly, and you've got stunned me and unstunned me, and we quite easily say I'm offended by that. There
for
was
choice.
yeah, but this is having unstunned meat is cruelty to animals, and why? But we have it on the shelf. It's allowed. You've got people of the Muslim faith who complain about the fact that they've been there's bacon served at lunchtime. I mean, flipping heck, what is going on here? I mean, that's a staple of Britishness. A full English breakfast. It comes with bacon, and then all of a sudden you've got a minority saying you can't have that. And then you might have kids calling them bacon, and then it'll be like, oh, you can't say that. They might be offended. It's like, well, At some point, you've got to say,
Sorry, guys, that just came on randomly. I did not do that. Apologies.
I'm with you. I just think it's gone far too far, and I think
I think John's gammonness has just come on randomly as well.
That is fucked up. No, that is where I draw the line at free speech. That's fucked up. I'm offended. I am offended.
Well,
No, bro. That's
it's
horrible.
I think we should have free speech because if you
Do you
can't,
know?
then you drive it underground and it becomes hidden, and then you lose your ability to have conversations and to sort of like steer young people into right and wrong. But what is it that we're collectively standing for and moving towards anyway?
But Tim,
Because
sorry, can I just call you back to that, mate, before you
yeah,
move
go
on?
on.
Like you just made that point that you want free speech, but almost everything you said before that was telling me that you don't.
Well, I'm saying people should have the capacity to kind of to be mindful about what they're saying and who they're saying it to and with and what they're putting out there. Now that's not always the case because we all make mistakes, don't we? Like, I might just say an offhand random comment at work and cause offense to somebody.
well, yeah, you might go around calling someone neurodiverse, and they might not like it, and then what do you do then?
Well, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That did happen at work the other day, and so they were. Yeah, the word neurodiverse was used, and the word neurotypical. So that's kind of separating people and labeling people. Personally, I think that conversation is useful because then you're talking about how people's brains work and the differences of that. And I think that you should be able. So the reason why I want free speech, Henry, is because I want to be able to explore and talk about differences amongst people so that you can understand yourself and others better in order to have better harmony, get on better, have better communication. But I have to accept that some people don't want to have those conversations, and that should be respected as well.
Well, I think
Sure.
in
But
in public, you should be able. I should be able to say, I should be able to use the word neurodiverse if I was referring to somebody who I felt was not really a sandwich short of a picnic, right? If I said that, they're a bit neurodiverse there, I think, okay. And if I was to say that, then I think that there's no harm in that. However,
I would be wholly
however, if
offended.
if I was at work, um, I have an obligation to be professional all the time.
But
Okay.
the thing is, though, John, your public self is out there more than just being at work these days because of social media, because of things like this. We're recording a conversation to put it out there in the public.
Yeah. So if someone's paying me a salary or is someone's paying for my services, they would expect me to be as professional as possible. And that in that case, I wouldn't use that terminology. I'd rein it in. But what I say privately, um, outside of work, and I'm not representing them, then you should be. I mean, I mean, another one is Lineker, for example. I mean, he signed a contract with the BBC. Is that you can't talk about politics or religion, or because you might bring the BBC into disrepute and all this kind of stuff. And he carried on. He did what he wanted all the time to a point where I think that they've had enough of it. They told him off so many different times. They decided to let him go. And do you think that bothered him? Well, no, not really. I think he felt he has the right to be able to express himself as he likes, when he likes, to whom he likes as well. And I think as much as I dislike Lineker, I think he's got a good point. And I think that if you're pulled up, as long as you know, I think the difficulty is that I think with Lineker, he was disrespecting a lot of people. It wasn't. I mean, it came into fruition really with Brexit. Brexit was bloody awful. Everyone was. If you didn't vote Remain, then you were. you were a flaming, retard of sorts.
Wow, the terminology is coming thick and fast now, isn't it? I think if you
But they
have free
did.
speech,
They
you
did.
have to accept responsibility for what you say and also be accepting that you might be critiqued and picked up on that, which Gary Lineker was in his position. And for instance, like I should to you, like for saying, questioning neurodiverse people being short of a picnic. That's 10% of the populations, some roughly, or maybe 10% of people watching this right now. There's maybe some of us amongst those well, I wouldn't say we're short of a picnic for being neurodiverse. In fact, some of
Maybe
those
a bite,
people are the
bite
most.
short of a sandwich in the picnic, but not perhaps not the whole sandwich. But let's not let. I'm not inciting, but I'm not inciting any violence or hatred.
Well, no, you are. You're saying all
I'm just making
neurodiverse
I'm
people are a
making
bit
light of the
stupid.
situation. It's it's not. If you're offended by that, I think that you probably need really. Um, you need a bit of coaching because
John, I mean, you just said that people like me are, a bit stupid. That's basically what you're saying. So if you were to continue that
no, I
as a
didn't say that.
argument,
I
yeah,
did.
hang on a second. Yes, you pretty were inferring that. Let me talk. If I'm just using this as an example, so that's an opinion. You can say what you say, but you should also have take responsibility for people kicking back at that, which I am doing right now,
Yeah.
because if you're not, then it becomes an accepted thing that, like neurodiverse people are stupid or retarded in some way, or women are second class citizens, or people of a certain race or religion are second class citizens. It becomes part of that conversation that can infect the minds and hearts of other people, which that is what I don't like about freedom of speech.
Well,
That's what it is.
unfortunately, you find that at primary, at the very as soon as you go to primary school, you know, people laugh and joke if you've got red hair. People laugh and joke at you if you've got brown skin. People laugh and joke if you're overweight or you've got a funny accent. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it at primary school. You're gonna get it at high school, college, university, and in the workplace. And I don't think that I think this attempt to curb our language is, quite honestly, it's just, it's pissing in the wind. You're not going to stop it. You really are not going to stop it. People, are going to say it whether you like it or not, And I think, there's Ricky Gervais, for example. He stands up on the stage amongst thousands of people, and he might use a topic that's probably a bit close to the bone, cutting a bit close to the bone. But do you know what? He doesn't mean anything malicious by it. He doesn't want death. He doesn't want everybody to stand up and sort of go over and beat that person up. He's just making light of the situation. And if you can't take it, then you need you need to explore coping mechanisms, because you're going to find it throughout life, in every country, every color, creed, language, everything. There isn't a place on planet Earth where a human is and they don't do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, what are you trying to do? You're going to try and stop the rain from falling out of the sky next. It's like, you ain't going to do it, are you?
No, no. But what we can do is collectively move towards something like respect, acceptance of all, because like that's what the woke brigade have tried to do. Because let's introduce this term woke, and that gets a lot of battering, the term woke. But what that is people trying to be awake to oppression. And I think that's right. We should be awake to oppression, to keeping people small, for ridiculing, for degrading, all of that sort of stuff. We should be trying to collectively be accepting of all.
Yeah, but Tim, the dictionary definition of woke and what it's used in urban language are two completely different things.
Really, what's the I don't know what the dictionary definition is, but
Well,
I
just
thought that
describe,
wokeness
you just
became.
no, you just described the definition of wokeness to be enlightened by
Ah, now here's a really good point then, because what you might be about to describe is exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that people use words and then they become commonly accepted as like a weaponizing, degrading
like
anger tool,
like gammon.
like gammon.
Yeah, like gammon is for decades, even hundreds of years, probably been a piece of meat on the table, but now it's not. It's a derogatory term.
Because people have been able to be free with what they have been able to say, unchallenged, to make it demonized. Like all the,
Just like
women in the 14th century were
you
burned as
can't-
witches.
yeah, the tacky, for example, yeah, and
Mhm.
the W da, 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 G, yeah. I mean, it's that comes from Robinson's jam with the figure on the front. No one took it as a derogatory.
Did you see my point though? It's been now,
It's
it
only recently it's become that way.
accepted as a derogatory term because it's been out there and used in that way. So woke has lost its meaning
Yeah.
because it is now a point of somebody who is like so uptight and left wing that they're not particular. Their view shouldn't be valued in some way.
Well, I don't know that it's not so much they're valued, is that they're so far on the left, um, and so narcissistic, and then that they've taken a word like woke, which was should have been quite an upstanding virtue to aspire to, and then they've turned it into a negative one. And I think, yeah, well, I is I could be, you could, some people could be, and the woke are offended by it, you know.
Let's give Henry the conch because I know he's got views on this one.
Go on and then.
Well, like I find it funny how freedom of speech always comes down to people are being offended and like people's feelings about words and things like that. It always sort of seems to go there. But to me, it's like I don't know what someone would have to say to offend me, right? And if someone did offend me, it would probably something like quite egoic that is more a reflection on me than what they're saying. And I think like it's almost like slavery. Someone can just say words, and I'm gonna be triggered. I'm gonna fucking lose my mind because like you've said words to me. It's like I can't even control myself because of something you've done. Like when someone gets annoyed or offended, they go, well, he did this, you did this," and it's like, well, okay, he's done something. How are you responding? Like you're 100% responsible for your response. Like, and there's no getting away from that. People will always turn around and say, but if he didn't do," and it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can still respond however you want. So this is the problem for me that people say, oh, well, it offended me. Well, this. It's like there's no baseline to this ever. It's always an ever moving thing, and it's not grounded in truth whatsoever. And so I think if you believe in free speech 100%, there has to be a little part of you that's willing to let go from a lot of these things, these associations or you know predetermined ideas about what words are or how whatever. Like there's it's deep, but yeah, I just think yeah, yeah. I hear what you're both saying, but I don't like getting into the whole left and right thing either. Since becoming Christian, I just think it doesn't. It's not even real. I think the world is a stage now. I think we're being told what to believe in such a deep way that if I slightly subscribe to right wing, I'm being fed all this stuff. If you slightly subscribe to whatever, and it's like we're all being built against each other. I think we're being destroyed from the inside out. Free speech is our only hope, and I'm gonna do everything to hold on to it. So I will never kill myself. If I'm in jail soon, I love you all. I will never kill myself.
Oh, I love you, my brother. That is fucking great. Now, you've just expressed what I was badly trying to do about separateness, because for me, from a spiritual perspective, we are all one. So therefore, we live and create together. And if we start going down the words of like, and trying to police that and trying to enforce things, we're just making that division worse and worse, in my opinion. and we're being sold a load of bollocks
Yeah.
on all sides. And so therefore we fall into it and pretend, that we've got the right opinions and that those people are wrong and these people are right. And it's not like that. It's very
Yeah.
deep. It is deep.
Mm. The
So,
crossover is much more common than we think as well. Like you said, we label ourselves, and labels are not real. Humans are free. Like, obviously, you know that I believe we are spirit. We are literally we're boundless. And to put us into these boxes, white, British, left, like it's just completely against what we really are. Like,
let me ask you, Henry. So, what is the solution? Should we all just breed and become one race, all brown, and all speak one language?
no, I don't think it matters about being the same. I just think it's about acceptance, really. And free speech
What's the
is
solution then?
sorry.
Well, what's the solution to
Because
the?
there have to be a solution. Like when they
We,
people go up into space, one of the things they always come back with is like how affected they are looking at Earth from that distance, saying to themselves, well, there is no barriers. There are no made up lines of nations and stuff like that. So why does it matter what color, shape, size, or how neurodiverse people are?
so we should knock it on the head completely.
Not what on the head.
Being offended.
Well, I think what Henry's pointing to is like that's offense comes from within us,
Yeah.
that like we have a responsibility or the ability to respond to whatever is like,
So,
in
I
front
mean,
of us.
if, if we just stop this if freedom of speech just allows us to say what we want, so providing that we don't incite murder,
Mm.
then wouldn't that be the solution?
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess the problem is it's not really us that decides, is it? It's always like this is deep what I'm about to say. I believe as well. Like we're always made to believe we're the problem in some sense, left between right. We're putting against each other. But I always see it as like elites versus us, which I know is we're getting into conspiracy a little bit now. It's like if you guys have been reading the Epstein files, it's like the Goyim versus the rest of them, right? I don't know if you guys know about that, but yeah, like, and you said about knocking. Uh, what did you say? Sorry,
Me?
there's three combos going on at once.
Yeah, it is deep and complicated.
If we just put a kibosh on freedom of speech and say, look, you can say what you like, providing you're not inciting a murder,
Yeah,
I think
yeah, that's 100% the way in my eyes, 100%.
yeah,
But yeah,
So
because
there's a problem with that, isn't there? Because and I'm not saying I'm not on board with that because it might be that that is the way forward. Um, However, what we've or what we collectively, I say, because I've not really, I don't know who's trying to police this apart from the actual police and going around to people's houses, knocking on the door, arresting people for Facebook posts when they should actually perhaps be doing other things. I don't know who's trying to, on whose problem it is, but it's ours collectively. If you say you can say whatever you like, then you find yourself in places like we are currently. Like there is a problem with immigrants, immigration, and that is the problem and that is the solution. So we must not rest until that is dealt with. And then even though you're not saying let's kill them all and wipe them all out, which people have attempted to do in the past and still do, on planet Earth, according to their race and religion, etc., like that. But that terminology and that conversation can incite violence and burning sticks outside, people's homes.
I got two issues with that. You said that leads to where we are now, but we're not living in free speech, and we've got to where we are now. So, but
Yeah,
and also, if people want to talk like that, why not? Inciting violence is a different thing, but if people want to have that opinion, why can't they? Like,
what I'm
if
trying to
I
say is that we are where we are with the immigration problem because people have gathered that conversation and it is pitted people against each other. and they're driving into their nationalism of like, we must protect our Englishness, Britishness, whatever it is, over and above any of these other people that are not my brothers and sisters. Whereas if you zoom out to space, you'll see that like the humanity is just one anyway.
Yeah, I hear it. I do. And as a Christian, I've sort of battled with this myself a little bit because although I understand why we shouldn't just have millions of people, open borders, like I understand why that, like people think like that. At the same time, I do believe, we're all one. And if people are dying in war-torn countries, I obviously don't want that to happen. But it, again, it comes back to like being told what you're believing and like the fake
Yeah.
outrage to a degree, because I don't think these people have these beliefs because they've gone out into the world and like they're being told what to think, like literally. And this is why so many people have this burning thing in this country of like, oh, the immigrants, because we're constantly being told hate the immigrants, like indirectly and constantly. Like this is no accident, right? It's like they push the problem on you and then insert the outrage and just watch it fucking bubble, like,
But they do that.
you know.
They start that at school, don't they? They talk about how Christians and what they did, and they're going on their crusades. They talk about the slave trades and the British. They'll tell them of the terrible things the British did, but they won't tell them that they were the ones that actually brought a stop to it and spent in nearly 5 years of their GDP in from a monetary term to stop it. That's conveniently doesn't sit well with the narrative. So it's a seed that's been, and you'll find it in Palestine. The children that are born in Palestine, their mums and dads will tell you that the Jews are the enemy. They're Satan on the planet, and they need to be wiped clear from the earth. And it's bloody awful. I don't think that this indoctrination that we have, whether it would be in the West or the East or wherever in the planet, it's just a means to for war, isn't it? I mean, like we've said previously, that for thousands and thousands of years, we're a warring species. Yeah, and the minute you're born, you're indoctrinated into the belief that they're the enemy and we're superior, and that's how we move forward. And it does. The Portuguese, the Portuguese felt they had their empires, as did the British and the French, and the Germans had two world wars because they wanted their own empire, which they failed. It's and now we sit here in the 2026, and we're trying to sort of bring peace by curbing people's language, and we're closer to World War III now than we have been the last 100 years.
We're in Third World War. Let's be frank. And I think we're talking about, at least we can agree that we're trying to bring about some sort of peace. And maybe from a nihilistic point of view, John, that looks a bit futile. From certainly a spiritual point of view or a Christian point of view, that seems to be something that we should be collectively moving towards and awakening to. And slavery is not stopped, by the way. Modern slavery and modern people trafficking is rife in our communities. It's massive because of, lots of big businesses and criminal exploitation and criminal business. So I'm questioning what is it we're all trying to aspire to collectively, and if by free speech you're saying what you like with the result of it doesn't matter, and we're not trying to be respectful or instilling peace on planet Earth, I'm not down with that. But I am down with say what you like so that we can explore and have a discussion about stuff in order to move to something bigger and beyond all of our kind of bigger than us, you
The
know.
the issue with that is though, Tim, like you can have the best intent in the world and be respectful from your own point of view, but certain issues they're tough. And when you get into things, people will say you're being disrespectful or being rude. Like if I was famous, for example, I would be known as a misogynist, homophobic, racist, whatever. Like, I've had gay friends, I've had black friends, I got no hate in my heart whatsoever. But because of just talking what you see to be the truth and genuinely speaking from a place of love, pretty much all the time, like you can be perceived in the most evil, heinous ways. And this is the exact problem. Like when you've got any boundary, it bleeds into complete control eventually. And if there isn't, you never reach this place of like, oh, we're in a respectful, loving. It seems like one or the other almost.
Yeah, it
So
does.
yeah.
I don't think you're going to, I don't think, it's quite a nice aspiration, Tim, but I think that you've got people who are inherently evil as well. And there are some people that have been, through circumstance, um, have have become evil as well. I don't think you can change it, mate. It's. I think if you're going to live a virtuous life, aspire to those qualities. I think that's a great way of living. And I think that a lot of religions also sort of follow a similar philosophy. Um, but we all know, even the Christian religion will tell you that we're a failed. We're a failed. God gave up on us, So, I mean, we've got to rein it in sometimes, and other times, we're doing good, and other times we're doing bad. But to think that we are going to come together as a heart, don't get me wrong, I would love it. I would so much love it if we could all work together, because instead of warring with each other, spending trillions and trillions of dollars on the war machine, we could be exploring different planets. And because this is finite, Earth is finite, it's going to come to an end. We've got to look for another alternative. But we're
Oh, that's another conversation, my friend.
but we're too busy killing one another, and that is an innate quality of the human. They're looking. We've had thousands of years of indoctrination of hating the other tribe, and
I'm
it's just,
I'm I'm calling for us to do something different to that, though, John. If we all can agree that that's something we could aspire to,
yeah.
we should take personal responsibility for that. But secondly, we should challenge what people say and their views, because if they are left untouched and untamed, kind of like challenged, then we get into the us and them mentality, which is what you're describing.
Well, the religion is terrible for it. If you look at the Old Testament says that God said to Moses, or in the Old Testament, it said there's only one God, and if you find somebody else that believes there's who worships another, you have every right to kill them. So you've also got you've got other religions that believe that their God is right. So I mean, it's a virtuous way to live. But then you've got to look at religion then and say, okay, we have to ban that because it propagates murder.
Guys, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to shoot in a sec. Is there any chance we could do closing statements?
Yeah,
I do
sure.
apologize. I've my nan's asking me for a lift to the doctors.
Oh, bless her. Yeah, and I've got to go to the doctors as well, my friend. So yes, let's wind up and finish for today. It's been a good
What's your
discussion.
takeaways, Tim?
So the question, what was the original
Free
question?
speech.
Yeah, is freedom of speech? What was the actual wording?
Do we have freedom of speech?
Yes, we do. And we should be mindful for ourselves what that means and the responsibility that comes with that, including how that indoctrinates or feeds into collective thinking that may or may not be damaging to other people.
So have you
Um,
you changed your mind on any aspect at all?
I think we're still clinging on to freedom of speech. I think it's being
From our discussion, has this discussion changed your mind in any way? Or are you still where you were by the beginning? And now,
yes, I think through the discussion, I kind of think that we've got more free speech than we give ourselves credit for. but that comes through with a responsibility. And I think personally, we should aspire to being mindful of the things that we speak into existence on planet Earth right now, because we're living in tumultuous times.
How about you, Henry? What's your takeaway?
I think we're only ever as free as we feel.
Ah.
I think ultimately we don't have free speech. I think we proved that multiple times today. You know, bouncing around certain words. If you say certain words, you're going to jail. If you talk about certain groups of people, you're going to jail. Free, in a democracy, the foundation is free speech. We obviously don't have that. It's a shame, but it's just the way it is right now. And
Have you changed your
yeah,
view on anything in the last hour?
I don't know if I've changed my view, maybe expanded a little bit, but I
Where
wouldn't say
where do you feel you've made an expansion?
no,
Don't
just
don't don't
just
extrapolate the conversation. He's got to take his nan for a bloody doctor's appointment.
no, I think you're always expanding ideas just through sharing and communicating. I think that's what this whole
What,
podcast is. But
what, where have you made an expansion?
well, I don't know. It's hard to pin down. I would just say like exploring the ideas and thinking about it more. I don't know. Sorry.
Have you strengthened is this conversation strengthened your view, or have you had to concede a little bit of ground?
Yeah, I think it strengthened my view because well, Tim just made the point that we have free speech, but I think we proved multiple times that we don't because we're dancing around certain words and obviously you have to be careful what we say. So yeah, I would say yeah.
And if I
We
was to ask myself the same question, I'd say, um, do we have freedom of speech? No. And then has my view changed? No. If anything, it's entrenched my view. Much, that having spoken to you two, I feel that it's consolidated, and but my view on the lack of freedom of speech, and I think it's completely outrageous that we're not able to say what we want. And I think freedom of speech should be abolished, and that we should be able to say what we want, when we want, to who we want. If it means you get a lump in the face because somebody don't like it, then fair enough. But that's assault. You shouldn't be able to.
yeah, 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 100%.
But if someone takes offense to it, then tough titties, really. You just go away, have a little cry, and wake up and start your new day again. It's not the end of the world. If you want somebody not to say it, then you should give them reason not to. Not say I'm offended. You should give a foundation of your philosophy on why they shouldn't say it, and then
Yeah, yeah,
they can go away and consider your philosophy and choose then whether to carry on doing what they're doing or not. But it should be an opportunity for discussion. And at the moment, it's someone's making the decision that you can and can't say these things, and I'd like to know why. And
Well said, and I appreciate your what you have to say, and I stand by your ability to be able to say what you like. So big up free speech. Have a
yeah.
great day, everybody. Thanks for listening, everybody. Ta-ra for now.
See ya.
bye.